Hey guys, I just want to read something, a portion here in Romans where I believe that Paul is addressing uh, the Jewish like pride over legalism and the law, the way they did things, their traditions, um, like the reading of the law in the synagogue and things like that. So I'm going to start in Romans 2, but I want to also read this to you from the Mirror translation. I know some people have a lot of bad things to say about the Mirror translation. Maybe you never heard of the Mirror translation, but I mean, I find in this portion of scripture, I feel like the Mirror really opens it up for us. Now, don't be scared because Romans sounds, I don't know, there's a lot of big words in here, big and scary sounds, but I've been reading it over and over and over again. And what I get is that, yeah, like Paul is addressing this idea of, um, you know, they, the Jewish thinking that they were better than others because they had the law and judging others when they themselves were also in the same condition as the Gentiles. Just because they had the law um, didn't mean that they could do the law. And having the law did not make them above others. So listen, I'll just start from Romans like 2, uh, uh, 12. For as many as have sinned without law shall also perish without law, and as many as have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law. Um, for not the hearers of the law are just before God, but the doers of the law shall be justified. For when the Gentiles which have not the law do by nature the things contained in the law, these having not the law are a law unto themselves, which show the work of the law written in their hearts, in their conscience, also bearing witness, and their thoughts accusing or excusing one another. In the day when God shall judge the secrets of men by Jesus Christ according to my gospel. Behold, thou art called a Jew, and rest in the law, and makest thy boast of God, and knowest his will, and approvest the things that are excellent, being instructed out of the law. And you're confident that thou art a guide to the blind, a light to them which are in darkness. And then he goes on to just point out that, yeah, you're showing other people the right way to live, but you yourself can't follow what you're preaching, what you're teaching others, God's law. So I'm going to read in the Mirror. I feel like this is going to open it up. So it says, I'll start around the same time. God, okay, I didn't read 2:11. 2:11 says, for there is no respect of persons with God. So I'll start there. God does not judge people on face value. Ruin and self-destruction are the inevitable results of sin, whether someone knows the law or not. Righteousness is not a hearsay thing. It is law defined in practical living, for even a pagan's natural instinct will confirm the law to be present in his conscience, even though he has never heard about Jewish laws. Thus, he proves to be a law unto himself. The law is so much more than a mere written code. Its presence in human conscience, even in the absence of the written instruction, is obvious, condemning or commending personal conduct. Every hidden conflicting thought will be disclosed in the daylight of God's scrutiny based on the good news of Jesus Christ that I proclaim, the ineffectiveness of good intentions and self-discipline to produce. Okay, well, this is in parentheses. This is kind of like paraphrase in a way, or maybe he's trying to bring out the meaning of the scripture. So it says the ineffectiveness of good intentions and self-discipline to produce lasting change will be exposed as worthless in contrast to the impact of the message of Christ's death and resurrection as representing mankind's death and new birth. Your Jewish identity does not make God your exclusive property. Even though you boast in the fact that you have the documented desire of God published like an instruction manual in the law, you promote yourself confidently as a guide for the blind and a light bearer for those groping about in darkness. You feel yourself so superior to the rest of the world that you sell yourself as the kindergarten teacher to the mindless, an instructor of infants, because you believe that in the law you've got knowledge and truth all wrapped up in a nutshell. However, the real question is not whether you are a good teacher, but how good of a student you are. What's the good of teaching against stealing when you yourself have a reputation of kleptomaniac? You speak against adultery while you cannot get your own mind off sexual sins. It just doesn't make sense, does it? You say idolatry stinks, yet you steal stuff from pagan shrines. Your proud association with the law is ruined every time you dishonor God by dodging the doing bit. This has been going on for hundreds of years. It is all recorded in Scripture. No wonder the Gentiles think your God is no better than any of the philosophies when it comes to living the life that the law promotes. Then he goes on to talk about circumcision and says that, basically, your circumcision doesn't amount to much because you're not doing the thing that the circumcision means, and then he says, well, because they thought they'd be judging others. So then he goes, well, if the Gentiles are doing the things that the law says and they're not circumcised, doesn't that count as circumcision? And wouldn't they be a judge over you? He's just kind of in my opinion, he's addressing their pride here in order to break into Romans 3 and 4, where he starts talking about the law justifying no one, that no one can actually be justified by the law. So this is kind of it's like a gateway into that. But first, he has to bring them and show them their pride. He has to show them their inability. He has to show them that the whole first couple of chapters here in Romans. I've been reading it over and over again. It's really been, I don't know, feeding me, if you will. But that's all I've got so far. Thanks for listening.